So if I ask the question, do you like food porn? It probably has a double meaning. There's food porn, and then there's food porn. This is the second one. What's up, Flick fans? Welcome back to the Sausage Party. This is Foodtopia. It's a brand new show on Amazon Prime. I didn't think this was going to be a show in the beginning. I thought it was a movie for some reason, but it's a limited series, or maybe there's going to be more seasons. I don't know. Regardless, let's talk food porn.
Food is alive. I repeat, food is alive.
And so admittedly, even after not being a fan of the first movie, and that's where I'm at, we'll talk about that, I was wondering, okay, where do they go from here now that they've broken out of the chains that humans have shackled them with? Are they going to start their own civilization? Are they going to continue to fight this war? Is it over quicker than they had imagined? I did have questions, even though, again, I just wasn't a fan of the first movie, which is weird because I like raunch. I like over-the-top, ridiculous, dumb humor, but I really like it when it comes across as smart. You can do dumb humor, but present it in a smart way, or just do raunch and overkill in that department, yet make it to where it is quality filmmaking and storytelling. I mean, we've seen countless animated examples on television the first few seasons of Rick and Morty, but lately, I mean, Smiling Friends. You want over-the-top, occasionally raunchy, not overboard, adult-type storytelling in the animated space. Smiling Friends does it perfectly, and so as a fan of something like that, even though I didn't like the Sausage Party movie because it overly relied on that trope, we're going to make the food do dirty things to each other, and that's going to be the ongoing thing. Now, there is a little story in that movie to where, okay, humans can now see us, we can now see humans, that's the shtick, and they're trying to escape that, and that premise is awesome. That's why I loved the original trailer for Sausage Party. I thought it looked hilarious. The movie just didn't pay off. And then I saw the trailer for Foodtopia, and I said, it looks like they're doing the same thing, just less quality. Not as good. The animation, not as good as the original movie was, probably because it's a television show, but they got the voice cast back. They've got Cera and Seth Rogen and Kristen, Wiig, Edward Norton, Sam Richardson, who plays Julius the Orange, and the Orange kind of gets pushed into power of this new civilization a bit later on in the season, and so some really great voice talent, and so that side of it is quality, and there are things about the show that get better as it goes along, but I'll be honest with you, the first episode, I was out. I said, I don't even know if I want to review this because this is the issue that I have with the movie. It's just raunch, sexual puns, food puns for the sake of puns without inspiring humor, without something that feels well written or you're spending time on the joke as opposed to just the easy way out, the easy food pun, which is all episode 1 is. And they're fighting their way out of this grocery store. We see the end of this war, and admittedly, it is funny what Cera's character has turned into, this warmonger of sorts and being in love with the sport of hunting humans. That's great. I think that's hilarious. But the dialogue in that episode, man, don't cream your filling as they talk to donuts on the rocks as they're instructing the alcoholic beverages to fire away. The path of yeast resistance, which is, and you know, if this was a showcase of food puns, it would be brilliant. But where's the storytelling in this first episode? It's just all food puns. And then it turns into all food sex. And that's it. And I was out after episode 1.
Boring.
Admittedly, there is creativity in the sexual positions that the food get themselves in and the combinations of food having sex. I mean, oil and water doing it. Never thought I'd see that combination. That's something they say in the show. And again, you separate that from this show and just on its own, it's a pretty funny pun, right? And I understand partially why when they're writing it, they're like, that's clever. But if that's all you do for 30 minutes and that's all they did in the first episode, it becomes tiring. It's funny at first, but even then, I knew what this first movie was, and so, you know, I got into this season hoping for something a little more creative, as opposed to just two peppers stuffing each other. I don't know. All right, let's pause. If you're a fan of this movie or you've seen the show and you completely disagree with me, I want to point out that there are a lot of fans of Sausage Party, and if you respond to this type of thing, and even I kind of respond to it, but not simultaneously, that's all you get for 30 minutes, pun after pun and sexual joke after sexual joke, it gets tiring. I expect something a little more creative at some point, which I don't get in the first episode. But again, if you like that and you just want raunchy comedy, that's what you're going to get. And so I don't think this show is going to be a huge misfire across the board. I do think there are fans. There was clearly something that called for a sequel to the first Sausage Party. Admittedly, it does get a little more creative from there, because from there, they create this Foodtopia, this utopia, this government, the way that the system works, and all of those things at the beginning, they're not at the forefront. It's mostly just focused on the characters, which I honestly could have cared less about if it weren't for the funny voices at times. But this system that is being set up, and the fact that they just don't know what to do or how to run it at points, and they continuously make those mistakes. Sam Richardson's character, like I said, Julius coming in and taking control, and then the ideals that come about, right? Julius believes that if you have teeth, then that is worth something. In this universe, teeth is money, and so that becomes a prominent element of this story and how they go about working with each other and inevitably working against each other. And can we come together and separate ourselves, or are we no better than the humans that we are attacking and murdering, especially Michael Cera's character? And so that's interesting. And that's where I was hoping this story would go. It absolutely does. Now, is it enough to overcome the shortcomings with the comedy? Because while there were bits as the show progressed, especially with Will Forte's human character, who's just kind of stuck here, and in the beginning they're trying to find a creative way to kill him, but as it goes, he becomes more of an integral character to this plot. He was funny. I was laughing at him, and some of the jokes start to hit because there's actually a story that becomes more prominent. I just don't think it's prominent enough to overcome the comedic shortcomings and to overcome the just simplicity of some of these elements, because while they're dealing with this government and the system and setting up this Foodtopia, there's also ideas that are clearly shadowing things that happen in real life and, you know, the systems in place, this and that, but they could have went a lot deeper than they did, and a lot of it feels surface level. And for a show that's already super surface level, and we need a little bit more to, here's a pun, chew on, I'm no better than the show. But I personally feel like this is one that's trying to be smarter than it actually is. It's attempting to go to that next level. It's attempting to overcome the lack of humor from certain moments that they're trying their best to make funny. And because they don't make those moments funny, if it was funnier, I would forgive the simplicity of the rest of the show and actually appreciate the attempt to do something more a lot more, or at least make this a fun, crazy, R-rated background watch. Just make sure your kids aren't in the room. I saw somebody on Twitter the other day say, "Oh my God, I can't believe this sexual scene was in Solar Opposites. This is not a kid's show." No, it's not a kid's show. And you're an idiot if you're letting your kids watch these shows. It's your fault. Be a better parent. I mean, before I give you my score, what's your favorite adult animated series? I like shows that push boundaries. I like shows that have a heavy amount of raunch, but not when it does it just for the sake of doing it. Foodtopia eventually begins expanding this world in an interesting way, mimicking hilarious elements of our society, but these attempts are unable to overcome the inconsistency within the humor. These puns overstay their welcome, and the jokes become lazy. It improves after a horrid first episode, but there isn't enough. At least there wasn't enough for me to warrant a continuation. But I would love to know, if you are a fan of this, if the jokes did land, what was your favorite element? What was I not seeing personally? I think this is a safe space for everyone who agrees and disagrees with me, man. Thanks for building up this community and holding me accountable for things that I have bad takes on, because I do have bad takes. All right, thanks for watching, guys. I'll see you in the next review.